Okay, well, good morning. Today is July the 8th, 2019, Monday morning. It is 9 o'clock. I call the Carter County Commissioners Court to order. Today we have Gene Shelburne from Anna Street Church of Christ who will do the invocation. So please stand for that.
Only you know, dear Lord, how much time and work it has taken behind the scenes for our county staff, our elected officials, to get up to speed on the issues that we must deal with here today. Thank you, Lord, for the expertise of those who will advise the rest of us. Thank you for the integrity of these advisors, Lord, for the unquestioned honesty that makes us able to trust their recommendations. Thank you, Lord, for leaders who are modest enough to be led by those they pay to steer us down the best paths. In this meeting, Lord, we ask you to shape our thoughts, to control our tongues, to harness our egos, so that the deliberations during this hour will bless our county and honor you. In the name of your Son, who is our model of wisdom and love, amen.
Amen. With allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Isn't it great that we can come together and pray and pledge without anybody taking a meeting? I love that. First thing on the agenda is recognition of the minutes from the June 24, 2019 Carter County Commissioners Court meeting. Any changes? So recognize. Number 2, budget amendments to consider and act upon budget amendments for the fiscal year 2018-2019. Carrie, do you want to?
Does anyone have any questions?
Carrie, I do have a question on item 1. It looks like to recognize revenue for the state, and the way it looks odd. Is this something new?
No, that first section is new money coming in, the second section is where we're putting it in their expense accounts. And then that, excuse me, the third section is money that they have left over from last year that we're putting into the budget to spend this year.
That we're putting into this current budget for them to spend this year?
It had to be designated specifically for this education.
Interesting. Okay, thank you. I make a motion that we accept the budget amendments as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second on the favor, raise your hand. Number 3, vouchers to consider and act upon the approval of the payment of vouchers processed by the county auditor's office for the period of June 19, 2019 through July 3rd, 2019. Check numbers 186370 for 186592 and wire transfers 1256 for 1259 in the amount of $4,074,039.97. Need a motion?
As stated by the county judge, I move to approve the options as presented.
Second. That's a quick discussion, Madam Judge. Chris, page 7 of 39, towards the top, 86452, accent auto, body, and automotive. Looks like there's 2 line items for 2 vehicles, a Tahoe and a Charger.
Yeah, they're actually from back in March.
Okay.
The Charger was actually, State Farm actually, it was no fault. Actually, both of them were no fault. So the Charger was paid by State Farm, and the other one was, had some more, was involved in an accident, and, it was no insurance. But like I said, it was back in March.
Okay.
So they're just coming.
On that same page, and Carrie, I'm not sure for you or maybe Nick, page 7 of 39, at the very bottom, check number 186465, bedded flooring, $4,675, floor replacement on 9th floor. Can you remind me what project?
In last year's budget, Mike got it approved for Santa Fe flooring projects, and it was just throughout the Santa Fe building, any floor can be replaced, so the lobby there, the ninth floor, had gotten where we couldn't clean it, it was just gross. The best way to say it, so, had that carpet removed, had some things that took down, and just put on flooring so that it could just be damp block.
So you took out carpet and replaced with vinyl?
And that's a non-historical floor, so it was something that would last longer, kind of 25-year warranty on the plan. So
Thank you.
that's what that is.
One final question, Judge, Carrie, page 19 of 39, 186566, South Plains Communication Tower Rental, 6,250.
Yes, those are our two radio towers that we got with the communication system.
Am I remembering some type of interlocal with either the 911 center or PRPC, or that is our straight expense? There's no revenue coming back to offset that?
Now, there's no revenue coming back, but 911 did give us, some amount for that and this component of that.
So that'll come out of that versus public service, or?
No, those funds are just in a designated fund balance.
Okay.
in the general fund.
Okay.
So it's still, you'll always see the expense in this fund.
Okay.
I just have one question on page 7, Alamo Investigating Services. Why are we paying outside investigators?
Because it was for the defense rather than the prosecution.
Good answer.
They take care of it.
It's like,
Wasn't the defense take care of it?
well, it's an individual basis.
Okay. A motion, second, all in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. Number 4, insurance report, recognize the insurance fund report. Okay, is there anything? There's nothing unusual on the insurance report. You want to come on up anyway? Okay, so recognize on number 4. Number 5, Insurance Advisory Committee, to hear a report of the Insurance Advisory Committee and Holmes Murphy on 2019-2020 voluntary insurance plan year and the interlocal agreement with the city of Amarillo and take any action necessary.
This is just an additional update on the June 11th, 2019 Insurance Advisory Committee, where we discussed both the interlocal with the city of Amarillo and voluntary insurance benefits. Last Commissioner's Court on the 24th, Holmes Murphy provided a partial update, but we were unable to bring information on the voluntary insurance benefits at that time, and Holmes Murphy is here to provide that update and information this morning. Judith?
Morning.
Morning. I see a lot of this lately, so thanks for letting us know and speak to the board again. So I wanted to give you another update on the interlocal agreement. I actually have representatives from Northwest and Aetna here today. So if there's any specific questions you have regarding that, we can bring them up as well. Their proposal right now has a $25,000 wellness allowance that will be in place for us. They have what's called In-Touch Care Solutions, which is a high-touch clinical model. I know you had asked before about wellness and keeping people healthy, and that's actually going to really address those pieces as well. They included Teledoc, which is a telephonic doctor that you can call in if your child has PI, things like that, they can call in and use that. And there'll be a custom provider search that will keep the custom network in place as far as when people are calling in to find out or going online to find out what doctors they can use and what doctors are in network with this. And then we've talked about this before, it would be a bit of, there'd be a lot of disruption in this particular model, but there's some significant savings. We're speaking
Is that a 24/7 line, information to call in?
to the Teledoc, yes, 24/7. And with this particular, I mean, we'll have additional information, we have an advisory committee this afternoon that we'll go through. And so next meeting, our next commissioner's court, we'll have a lot more information as far as the funding rates, the plan designs, and the savings potential to the county when it comes to that. So before I pause and go on to the voluntary benefits, is there any questions regarding this matter?
So I have a couple of questions, maybe just to back up a minute and reset if I may, because I know this is fairly quick and coming, but I know we're prepping for budget too, because we need those amounts to go in the budget. So today, our medical is really carried by TAC, the TAC umbrella, the Texas Association of Counties. We have Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas, if I remember right, as our medical provider. And because those costs continue to increase and we're not seeing a drop in that, a couple of things will happen during this budget year is the employees' cost share will go up significantly as well as the counties. And so we have the advisory committee saying this is not sustainable long-term, not only for the county, but for the employee, for the medical benefits. So then there's a discussion with the city, and so what makes Northwest kind of unique in that conversation is the city is Northwest medical provider of choice. So if there's questions, because obviously we have two competitors in the local market, we're really trying to get under the umbrella of the city because that increases the number of lives under that plan, and we can get better rates. Is that a fair?
Yeah,
Okay.
So instead of Blue Cross Blue Shield as being under your umbrella for the carrier side, it would be Aetna as your carrier. And then your partner from a provider side would be Northwest.
Okay.
And again, that would produce significant savings to what your plan is because it's a direct contract with them, which gives you a very deep discount off of what they would normally charge outside of that arrangement they have with the city and potentially with the county.
So when you say we need to expect disruption, that means that doctors may not be in the network, if you will. So primary care doctors that you usually go to, you're gonna have to reset and make sure they're still in the plan.
Correct.
Maybe pharmacy, but last time you mentioned there might be a few things, but you didn't expect a lot of pharmacy disruption, but there might be a few things.
There could be some pharmacy disruption in general. From the provider side, there will be disruption just because of the nature of it. Northwest was not in network for Potter County through Blue Cross Blue Shield until January of this year.
Okay.
So for your employees' perspective, they were using the providers from the other system up until January of this year. So when we're looking at, moving people over, you're going to have folks that are going to have to look and see what would be the best option for them.
So as a part of your assessment, do you look at claims and look at medical providers our employees have used and say these 10 we know for sure are gonna be not part of the new design?
Yeah, we look at kind of the hospital system as a whole, and we can get into those details as well, and have some of those details as well, so we can certainly provide that level of information. And then the network provider search, we have that link now that's available, so if people were curious whether or not their doctor was in network or out of network, they'd be able to look that up now and see if they were or not.
But they have to look under the new Aetna proposal, right?
Correct.
So I'm assuming is it a PPO plan, an HMO plan?
It's a PPO.
Okay.
It's a PPO with when we're looking at it, it's a PPO, but it has the alignment with Northwest. So
Okay.
it's
gonna funnel to that hospital.
Correct.
Okay.
It'll funnel that direction.
And then do you have a draft interlocal between the city? I've not seen anything like that yet.
It will be, the interlocal will be between the city and the county, and I don't know if the draft is done yet, but I'll verify that information and get back to you on that.
You haven't seen anything, Tim?
Yeah, I'll be able to see it.
I just know that usually takes a couple of rounds of redlining, so you may wanna get in front of that. If you have deadlines that you're trying to.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have any questions for Aetna or Northwest when they're here?
I think most of my questions will come on the rate design, deductibles, out of pockets, those things, because that's what really kind of affects employees on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
And then the network selections, that'll be really the component. That's, I feel like,
Do they have anything they want to
add.
talk
Yes, you
about?
have anything you'd like to ask? This is John, here I am from Aetna.
Good morning, Judge. Mr. Sport, how are you? We just thank you for having us up today. Always exciting to be in Amarillo and again, the relationship with the city. And as Julie pointed out, I think some of the things that you'll see in the future reviews are kind of unique features beyond just the network piece, which Mr. Chandler with Northwest is here as well to talk about. You have a big primary care network that's not affiliated with BSA, which would be the hospital that would be out of network, so that would still be in the network. And then everywhere beyond kind of your Amarillo footprint would be Aetna broad network. There'd be no narrowing of that. So if you have employees that travel down to Dallas or heading into Oklahoma, they have the broad and the network as they do today. There's very minimal disruption between that and the Blue Cross. The big piece also is that clinical program that Julie touched on. As you heard, prices continue to increase. We've seen that medical trend goes up significantly. Of the savings that we're able to deliver, that Julie will cover with you in a future meeting, a good portion of that is that clinical program, where it uses data, it kind of mines that to find people who haven't reached that peak high-cost claimant area and engages them early in the services. Really makes some proactive reach out, helps them on their healthcare journey. So that's going to be powerful as well. And the city's enjoyed that relationship. We put that same clinical solution in for 1119 for the city. And excited to answer any questions that you might have on the process for the transition if the court selects Aetna as their carrier for 10 months.
Maybe a follow-up question to that, and maybe it's not specific to Aetna, but I remember several years ago, I almost feel the timing of when the city made the change to this plan. I remember some communication around opening up an employee clinic where they would go to a clinic versus, an urgent care. Does that still exist?
I believe the city still has the employee clinic, and that's, something that they utilize. And that would be a piece that's city funded specifically on their side.
I just don't know if that's part of the overall design and interlocal at all.
Not part of this, no, there is a separate cost when it comes to employee clinics. Normally when we look to implement employee clinics, there's a lot of questions that go into, leadership as to why you might want to implement one. Oftentimes it's more of a benefit of, we'd like to have it for our employees as a convenience factor versus an access or cost savings factor. Usually with clinics, you don't have a lot of savings to cost to the plan unless you're funneling the majority of your population into those. When it comes to access, if you are finding that you don't have a lot of provider access for primary care providers for your employees, that's often a good time for you to put one in place as well, just to have the ability for folks to be able to go in and receive treatment. But as far as cost containment or savings, usually if you have a one-to-one ROI on a clinic model, you're doing pretty good. Most of the time we see folks lose a little bit of money or kind of break even, would be about right for those models.
So I hear you saying, because our lens going in is cost, that's really not something that you guys have entertained, that the design of that is really for convenience, or if there are shortage of providers.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, unless you have an aggressive way of putting in the model in place where this actually acts as a PCP for most individuals, you have to funnel enough of your population in to be able to break even or actually have fund savings.
It's more of acute care support than it is primary.
Okay.
And the employee, the patient, need not be concerned whether they're in Amarillo or Houston, or Dallas, or Paso, it falls under both.
Yeah, correct. So when you're looking at this particular network that we're talking about, that interlocal agreement, you still have access outside of the city with the full broad Aetna network. This is just narrowing down your scope a little bit and saying this is your preferred, this is where your savings are, this is where we're going to go with the cost.
Mr. Chandler, do you want to speak to the report?
Hey, good morning. My name is Ryan Chandler from Northwest. Happy to be here and excited to start this discussion or continue the discussion with the county. I think that answer a lot of your questions about the plan design of the network. Probably helpful to look over at the city and see how comprehensive that network is. I think that you'll find there will be disruption, certainly. Anytime there's a change in employee benefits, there's disruption. I think you'll find that the disruption is not as impactful as it may appear to be, at least on the surface. In addition to that, I think you'll find that the quality of the care, the quality of the benefits associated with moving to this narrow network will be well worth it and far and above. The savings, the financial savings are real. We're talking about significant savings to the county, but more important to me than the financials are the quality of the care for the patients that are going to receive it. So we're excited about the opportunity. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Commissioner Kelly for his work in working with our Accountable Care Organization, one of the great programs that we have going on at the hospital today. So thank you guys. We haven't answered any questions on the specifics, but I'm excited to have this conversation with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chandler.
The other piece that we wanted to talk to today was regarding the voluntary benefits consideration. We marketed your voluntary benefits. These are your accident, critical illness, cancer plans, as additional benefits that employee dollars fund towards. We met with the engagement committee in June to evaluate and score the responses, and actually gave them a little bit of homework, actually quite a bit of homework to go back and read through. There's a ton of information when we looked through the responses to the RFPs. We had a lot of interest in folks partnering up with the county. And so what we did was we gave them all the information. We narrowed that down, and the package that you have from us towards the back of the appendix part is just a sample of some of the information that we went through with the committee, just pieces of it. We didn't give you the full data because there's, I think, 26 pages of just raw data that they were going through, and we talked through as well. And what we did for considerations was we did a product comparison between the plans, looked at the cost of the premiums for employees or out-of-pocket spend, the payments for members, meaning what they receive at the time that they submit a claim, and then check the references for each of the carriers that we're considering. And so the recommendation from the committee was to approve to have Aflac for critical illness, accident, hospital indemnity products. Hospital indemnity pays you a lump sum benefit for each day that you're hospitalized. This is based on the product offerings, the administrative simplicity of offering multiple benefits with the same carrier, pricing and reputation, as well as the references that they had. And then to continue with Baybridge Cancer Plan due to the product offering, pricing, reputation. The Baybridge Cancer Plan, there's actually some pieces in the appendix to show the differences in what an individual received at time of claim compared to a few other plans, to give you an idea that there's a big difference. And so for your population especially, cancer is definitely something that we have a lot of consideration for, and having folks fill that gap in what they're spending out of pocket versus what their medical insurance actually carries for. And so really today what we're looking for is the approval to proceed with Baybridge for the cancer products, and then Aflac for the additional voluntary benefits.
The only question I have is on the voluntary benefits scoring results. I think it's page 10 of your slide deck. Aflac and Transamerica, and we don't have the column headers, so I don't know what all those points mean. They didn't print off on our end, but it looks like one scored at 144.5 and the other 144. I'm just interested to know, since that was so close.
That was where the reference checks came in, and then also we looked at the pricing between what people would pay out of pocket versus non. So that was just, it was a very small amount of difference, but there was enough difference there after doing those pieces to go and turn the Aflac direction. And then Baybridge, I know that they're showing less on that particular scoring, but when we pulled out that cancer product specifically and stripped that through and looked at that, if you look on page 11 of the presentation, that next page, it gives you an idea of, that should be a 14.7, that you can see a big difference in what that actually pays out to individuals, which is important to committee members, and then obviously for your members that are electing these coverages.
So the payout on that cancer plan is what the Baybridge kind of over.
Correct.
Because they provide more benefits for those particular diagnoses.
Absolutely. Okay.
I move we approve the Baybridge Cancer Plan and the Aflac voluntary insurance.
A motion and a second, on favor, raise your hand.
And I thank you for your work.
This is very fast. It takes a lot of time.
It does, and I definitely appreciate the work that the engagement committee and Kay, of course, it's a lot of work, and we're putting a lot of hours into this from your engagement committee's perspective, and so we definitely appreciate them. For our next steps, we're looking for, we actually have meetings with the engagement committee this afternoon to talk through financials and numbers, and our next steps when it comes to our medical offering, and then we'll come back here on the 22nd to give our recommendations for our medical pharmacy and then all the other ancillary benefits that we talked about, our dental and life insurance and those benefits as well. So, we've got a lot of work ahead of us, but we're very optimistic about how this is going to turn out for the county, and savings to not just the county, but members and good home services, so we're not continuing to increase everything every year and give you more of a sustainable benefit.
That, I think that is key, that for the employees to know that you're not gonna keep going up and up and up every year. For whatever raises we do get, it goes straight to insurance.
Right. And having a partnership like this, with a local provider that gives you a really good deal and a great discount, and again, partnership for the ones that we've done with like this, we've had for decades. And so, you know, really what we're trying to do is, again, sustainable, or not every year saying, okay, everyone, here goes your raise, nothing remains.
And if we have the interlocal, the draft, or even the summary of benefits, what it might look like to compare to our existing plan, whenever we have that, I mean, I'm certainly willing to, we'll meet with you, Kay, in advance and ask questions. I want to be mindful of time on the board too, so whenever you have that, I'm ready to.
Yeah, we'll have numbers as far as what the plan designs, what the premiums and all that, so this afternoon. We have, potential savings already, but we don't have those available for this morning's meeting, will be this afternoon, that will go through that with me. And then when we present next time, we have all that information for you, and then stuff as cheap as possible.
Thank you.
Good, thank you so much. All right, number 6, quarterly budget comparison to recognize the third quarter general fund budget comparison for fiscal year 18 and 19.
I just have a couple questions, Carrie, but maybe more on the revenue side, which I normally don't have. I'm on the expenditure side most of the time. On that front page, on the fees of office, the county clerk and district clerk, it looks like there's a drop kind of on both sides, since it was both of our clerks. I didn't know if there's something trendy or.
The computers were.
Well, yeah, this will take the whole quarter and it compares it to last year. So I mean, I understand what you're saying. That may be it, certainly. I just didn't wanna.
Well, I don't think that the third quarter is balanced yet.
Okay.
In the treasurer's office, so it's not included in there.
Yeah, because she was just in our office the other day trying to get everything balanced.
Yes, and I've been
Yes.
touched basically in on that. Yes, okay, that helps. Thank you. And that may answer my second question. Okay, thank you.
Anything else? So recognized. Number 7, Potter County Clerk of the Year. To recognize you. I'm gonna just step out here and you guys come with me.
Yes.
Really, come on up.
Oh, I thought you were just gonna hold it.
Don't touch them, so we can use.
Back there, I wanted to be able to see you all.
Dad, show you his other, he's seen me enough this weekend.
Come here. I'm gonna take you on this. This, Julie is not only the clerk of the year statewide, but she's my friend. She has been for 28 years. And, that's a long time. Some of you don't know that.
That's who's older.
She is not only a good person, she's a Christian. And, she walks that walk every day. And I've known her for so long, and I'm so proud to give her this plaque because she is my friend. So, thank you so much, Julie, for everything you We represent the county well, and we appreciate that. And anytime we award and employ for what we do.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I have a lot of good friends. I have a lot of good people who have paved the way and mentored me, and a lot of people have been with me and my husband. That's 28 years. We know my parents back there in the back, they weren't able to go and be able to live with me, so I'm very happy they're here. And have a whole row of friends that I didn't know were coming, and so I appreciate that.
Let's recognize, your mentor too.
Yes, Sue Daniel was the, third or fourth who paves the way.
Across the
Thank you,
street.
Judy.
there.
We're so proud. I have a friend, Mindy Briggs, back over here, who really, she encouraged me on leadership, and I appreciate her, and then Polly, my friend, and my parents, and so, it takes Jesus in comfortable shoes to do
Very
this.
good.
Thank you, and staff in a great office. I have a great staff.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Congratulations. Thank you.
All right, number 8. Potter County Extension Office to hear an update from Rachel Berry on the Potter County Extension Office. Good morning, Rachel.
Good morning. Okay. Haven't been here since I think December, so I have a list of things that it's gonna, I promise I'm gonna make it quick. So, to start off the 2019 year, in January, we kicked off our stop show season. And between our Potter County Stop Show, Fort Worth, San Antonio, San Angelo, Houston, and Austin, we had 56 exhibitors. To me, it's also about, of course, it's all about responsibility and taking care of an animal and the whole project in general, but also the amount of money that these families put into these things and hoping that when you raise a market animal, you're gonna get money back as well. So from PCJLA, from those 56 exhibitors, $141,000 was put back into the pockets of those kids. Between the major shows, Fort Worth to Austin, $44,000 for a total of $185,000 was put back in the pockets of the kids at the 4-H year. So that was, that's the stock show part of 4-H there. Back in May, I decided to try to boost some enrollment in 4-H and get into the schools. So I decided to put on a pet show at our Tri-State at the fairgrounds. And I went on to Studio 4 and promoted it and printed out 10,000 flyers and delivered them to all the elementary schools in Amarillo ISD. And we were able to get a total of 25 kids, but 25 was better than no kids. And I opened it up to non-4-H members to try to get 4-H members in. And the only thing I asked for was a donation of food and supplies to Amarillo SPCA. So the SPCA came out, they did the judging, and they had to make 2 loads and load things in my vehicle. So of those 25 people, we also had about 30 people that just came to donate to SPCA, just watch the pet show. So we had some dogs and some cats, we had a hedgehog, lots of reptiles, little kids walking around with snakes around their necks, and lizards on leashes, rabbits, and we actually had a fish. We had one kid bring a fish, so that was really cool. My Egg to Chick program for the whole year, I went into 64 classrooms and reached 2,000 plus kids in Amarillo ISD, my Egg to Chick last year, enough to where I had to up it to now 6 sessions this year because there's so many teachers that are unable to get in because there's no way to do more than 16 classrooms in a session. There's no way. I don't have enough manpower. And then I also did after school programs in 6 different schools and focused mostly just on STEM. I really did a lot of engineering and electricity and things like that. And then our state roundup, we went to College Station. I had a horse quiz bowl team and a swine quiz bowl team and a livestock vision team qualified. Also had kids in hippology, ag product ID, and our rifle team qualified. So we had 17 kids go down to College Station for state roundup in June. This year, I think today was the day that I actually added it up. Today is the day that record books are due. Last year we had a total of 5 record books. This year I have 17 record books. So I pushed that really hard because that's how you get your scholarships at the end of the year for 4-H. So we had some like horse, swine, goat, beef and sheep, public speaking, leadership, shooting sports, and food and nutrition are those projects that those kids are doing record books in. And I held my Kids in the Kitchen camp. I had 14 kids. And of course we focused on germs and food safety and the new contest that Extension is putting on at Tri-State Fair. We moved it from food fight, we're calling it now table time. And I introduced that to those kids and they really enjoyed it. We give them 10 things and they pull 5 of them out of that and they have to make something. And it's all about bringing the families back to the tables. So it's not decorating and carving fruit anymore like it was. It's now an actual meal to get a non-cooked meal to get those families back to the table.
So you give them 10 ingredients, they'll pick 5 and make a meal.
So there's 4 categories. There's breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack. And of each one of those has 10 ingredients. Well, we're opening it up to all the schools and outside of just 4-H in the district. So I'm actually in Maverick teaching the same thing right now. So You give them 10 items and they have to choose 5 out of that and make something out of those 5. But they don't know when they get to the contest, which 5 is gonna be there. So we practice, the website has the list, so you can practice, at home or, in your county or whatever. And, when you get there, if you don't know which 5 is there. So I just kind of put them all out and said, okay, grab 5, go make something, I'll give you 30 minutes, come back, and we'll choose.
It's like the shoot, the food shows they have on.
It is. We have a food challenge, that's also another big.
But there's no cooking, they don't cook.
Not for this, because if we plugged in that many things in the Rex Baxter building, it would probably blow the entire problem. So, but our food challenge, when we have our food challenge, which is kind of the same thing, we bring in, Excel brings generators for us to plug in all those hot plates and things, so that's, but not for this one, and that's kind of what makes it a little bit more fun. So you have, a frozen waffle, which is actually, you can actually eat it without having to put it in the toaster, because it is cooked. So one of them was, in the breakfast one, there was waffles and rice pudding and strawberries and bacon and applesauce and honey. So we had the kids actually put the honey and the bacon together. Well, that is just absolutely delicious. And spread it on the waffle. And you have your protein, you have your, the little bit of sweetness, you have your grain, and you have your fruit. So, I mean, it's perfect.
cereal and milk, because I can compete with that.
Well, in healthy eating, we consider cereal granola, and that's about it. So, that was really fun. Actually, Commissioner Church's granddaughter was part of that, so that was really fun. So
What did she make,
She was the one who made the apple.
Oh, she did that?
Yeah, she's the one, her little group was the one who made the bacon and the honey on the waffle. And then, one of our big projects is, clothing and textiles. Well, now they changed it to fashion and home interior design. Because I feel like it's a huge epidemic. Pinterest is, has really just kind of, sometimes you don't go to Hobby Lobby to actually buy something to hang on the wall. You go there, buy all the parts to it, go home and make it yourself. So 4-H is adding a DIY part to the Does the Dazzle contest, which Does the Dazzle is kind of like food shows. You open up a box, you got all this stuff in it, you got to make something. So now we're adding some home interior design things to it. So I did an entire camp on just nail and string art. We nailed nails with little bitty hammers in wood with 14 kids on plastic tables. Oh my God, I had to send some of them outside because I couldn't stand just the echoing from that hammer on that plastic table anymore. And then they had to string it all up. So that was really neat. I taught them, I do a lot of crafting, it's kind of a side thing. And so I taught them how to paint things, and it was just all home interior design, crafting, and they had a blast with that. So I put both of my camps in 1 week, thinking I'll just kind of get it over with. We did food in the morning and DIY in the afternoon. So I had kids from 8:30 to 4 in my office with hot glue guns and lots of honey and lots of glitter and nails and hammers. So by Thursday, I took a vacation. But they really had an amazing time. And so I evaluated that. So that's one of my in-depths for my A&M plans. And then I went straight into Maverick with programs on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Jennifer with Prairie View did June, and I'm doing July. And my pre-programs are leadership, STEM, and then our Does the Dazzle. So I'm trying to get kids to be able to do the Does the Dazzle contest in 4-H. Really still trying that. It's very hard when you want to, they're at summer camp, so you can't say, I just need 15 kids, so I can bring sewing machines and all that. No matter what, you get 50 kids in each session. So I'm still trying to figure out how to do it, so we just plug in a bunch of hot glue guns and we glue towels together, and we just makeshifting the sewing machine. But I wanted to really do leadership there, so we were doing a lot of team building activities outside when I go there. And then STEM, of course, I think STEM is so that you can make rockets out of so many things, so it's so much fun to get them to do that as well. So there I see 200 kids, 50 in the morning, 100 in the morning session, between third and ninth, so every time we go. but it's really, really a good thing going on. And then, at the beginning of, in March, we did our 5-year Texas Community Futures Forum, which every 5 years, we get our stockholders and, our advisory helps come in and kind of help us on with programs we want to teach for the next 5 years. And the two that, of course, you always get, ag in the classroom and things like that. So that, to me, that's always programs that I'm always, that we're always gonna do. But two of the ones that, the youth advisors were concerned about was bullying and emotional wellness and suicide prevention in our schools. So that is one thing that I will be starting going into when I say new year, that's September to August for me. So going into the school year, try to get into these schools and doing, because we have great programs and great curriculum through Our Life. I'll Take a Stand is one on bullying and things like that. So wanting to go in there and just kind of sit down and have conversations with these kids, and that's one thing that I'm definitely gonna implement this coming year. And then also kind of summing it all in together, financial awareness, college and career prep, and interviewing and resume writing. We had a lady there who was from the Amarillo Parks. She said that she does a lot of things, and she has a lot of kids that come in that want to have a job, and their email address is something that completely turns you off. You don't need to call yourself the things that you call yourself as your email address. So going in there and talking to kids on resume writing and actually being leaders in the community and things like that, and interview skills, just actually how you conduct an interview. First of all, how you shake a hand. So those are some of the things that I will be doing in the next 5 years, definitely. Just kind of getting out of the normal traditional 4-H programs and really getting into youth development in our schools.
So Rachel, if someone in the audience has some kids in mind that might want to participate in some of this, how do they find out this information? What's the best way to do that?
Actually, I'm going to, every year I go to new teacher in service to get
in the school system?
At Amarillo ISD, and that is how I'm able to get the classrooms. I bring all the information there and I talk about it, and in a booth, and that's how I get, I had 30 classrooms last year just sign up for EduCheck just there because they want it in their classrooms, but we only brought that in our Grow Light because that's really the only two things that we go in with our, our gardening part, and then we go in with the EduCheck part, but since I've been here, I haven't really given the opportunity for teachers or schools to sign up for things like bullying and financial awareness and things like that on our side, when we have the curriculum to do it with AgriLife. So that's one way. And then of course 4-H, I'm gonna be going on to Studio 4 at the end of this month to promote my enrollment night. And that's one huge thing, just the enrollment part. So now that I got the things figured out for Peach Jar and all of that to get flyers out to the schools, then hopefully to get some kids from in the school systems. Because I do my after-school program and things like that. I get parents calling me all the time wanting to join 4-H. Well, at this time of the year, all I have is summer camp, the summer camp. So, just I'll just have to hold off until August. Enrollment night is August 7th, and, we'll come on to that. And
that leads me to a question. One question I have as far as participation. So is there any uptake in your involvement of students in the program?
Actually, here, because we're an urban county, you have those traditional 4-H kids, those livestock and farm kids. They're gonna be in 4-H and they're gonna stop those a year. So my traditional 4-H is only about 120 kids, which is pretty normal for as big of a city or as big as, Potter County is with not as much, land around it for kids to be able to raise their animals and things like that. And then I have about 50 kids that I just gained this year in the schools from Maverick and the programs that I do in after school, because I will go to an after school and I always have pamphlets. Bring in to see your parent who'd like to join, and that's why I do like the summer camps and the after school things that I do to be able to get those kids. And that's another reason why I started the pet show. The pet show has now turned into a critter club where we're gonna meet once a month and just bring your animals, and I'll teach you how to be a good fish. I don't know, I haven't really figured out what I'm gonna teach them yet, just bring the animals to me, just so I can be able to get kids outside. You know, to get kids in the school system as well into 4-H as well, because if you don't really know about it, you really, the way that 4-H is it's a traditional organization. Your parents were in it, and you were in it, your brother and sister, you know, it just kind of goes on down the line. Well, if you don't really know what it is or do anything about it, then you can't.
Which leads me to another one, and I'm not sure if it's like driven out or not, but, I would like to see some little short videos of, especially with the animal critters and the snakes on chain and like that,
Snakes on a chain?
A lizard. A lizard. Well, there's a lizard. Yes, a lizard. I do live videos. I'm not really live videos because live just, I'm so worried that I'm gonna mess up. So I do regular videos and we'll put them on our Facebook page, definitely, our live Facebook page. But then we went on Studio 4 to promote it, and I had a lot of we have a vet science program, so I had a few vet science kids, and then I brought my kids with our dogs onto Studio 4 just to kind of promote it as well. So we, that was kind of fun because it was easier for me to control my dogs up there, so I knew nothing was gonna happen. And then Miss Megan, our other ag agent, she was there as well, you know, helped us promote it.
my last question, hippology, insight.
Hippology is a study of horses.
This one.
It's a study of horses. Yes.
You thought it was something else.
Not hippos, not hippos. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Rachel, it's pretty obvious that you need something to do.
Yeah.
We're gonna try to see if we can find you more.
Sounds great.
But thank you so much for your support.
Thank you.
And thank you, Judge of Court, because I like to put these on every quarter, it's just like, you know,
Absolutely, yeah.
so it's nice to know what's happening, in the commission. Bring the video, okay, we'll work on that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, number 9, I hope I pronounced this right. Fresenius contract, consider an act, did I do it right? Consider an act upon a contract with Fresenius Kidney Care to provide dialysis services to inmate in Columbia County Detention Center. Good morning.
I got a guy that's in custody that needs dialysis 3 times a week. And currently nobody does that at Northwest. This Northwest, we have to take them out there and admit them, do it, and then others can just move them straight to, so we're trying to save a little bit of money by not having to admit them.
Do I dare ask why he's in jail?
They're felonies and
I
it's,
know he's,
I mean, it's a, we looked at trying to get him released PR or monitoring his charges or not too much for that. So that's really not an option at this point, except for trying to get the case pushed through.
Do you see the trend or number of those that would be eligible for that, special, dialysis, or is that something that,
It is, we run into them every once in a while. That's part of people coming, which is nice.
What's the cost to the county for this service?
per treatment. So how soon can we get this go to trial? My question.
You're asking the wrong
I know,
person.
the person that I need to ask is not here. So,
So Sheriff,
It's one of those where it's times that you have to just.
that was my question about the Northwest agreement. So instead of you admitting him as an inpatient at Northwest, this would be outpatient. He would just be sent there, services, and then go back to jail after that? Okay, is there
You
any,
don't get to sit there, we gotta take them and sit.
Well,
there.
yeah, I know. But I just didn't know.
It's just, we won't have to do the in and out.
Okay, okay.
so the piggyback on judges, what's, you know, how is that,
We're kind of at the mercy of.
yeah, we decided a couple of years ago, they were the guy that was there for shooting, at the drug dealers in his neighborhood and kill them. But,
He had cancer and dialysis. We paid for his treatment.
We have lots of them that do that. Treatment. State is up and.
Okay.
That's another one of those things that speak of legislation.
I'll be, on the advice of council, I went in and signed that contract last week, so we need to get in there Friday. And then we go out to town, so it will
Okay.
cover them.
All right, well, I need a
We
motion.
approve the contract with Chris.
Christinius.
Kidney care and dialysis center. Our Kennedy Insurance Center.
That village, I will say.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. 5-0, thank you, Sheriff. You're gonna stay there, aren't you? Okay, number 10, law enforcement complex, to consider and act upon a notice of claim regarding issues with the roof at the Carter County Law Enforcement Complex, Sheriff's Administration Building.
I was told that they had fixed it the last time they came out, the rain apparently comes through the area much. Because it's sucking all that air in and it's bringing rain in with it. We haven't had rain until this weekend, so we didn't know really whether it had fixed it or not. And,
Did it?
upon information just received a while ago, we're still had a leak in our records. So we probably gotta move on.
So this letter will go out today, Tad, that's in our packet, this demand letter, if you will. It can, based on action. And so I guess who is ultimately responsible? You have two people noted on this letter, our general contractor, Western Builders, and then it looks like their sub. So who is the primary lead on this? Is it Western Builders to figure out what that needs to look like? A lot of times they'll go to a whole different sub to just fix it.
They can if they want, they can take whatever action they choose in response to this. They're jointly and severally liable under the Consumer Protection Act, so there is no.
So they're jointly liable, okay?
If a jury so finds.
Have a jury, so fines.
We've had several leaks on that.
I
Far as I know, I mean, Facilities has been out there a lot, and Western Builders has been out there a lot, but I don't know that the original roof company has ever been out.
They didn't contact us. I asked them at the very beginning, you need to get the roofers out. The warranty department, said that we can fix it better than the roofer can. So my concern this whole time has been, there's some emails, there's some paper documents, has been, by them fixing it with silicone or whatever they're fixing it with, are they voiding the manufacturer warranty on that TPO product? So that's kind of been a back and forth, and at one time, they had several different theories of why the roof was leaking out here, and it's not there. That's just not, it's not there. It's a roof, the primary design is to protect the elements, it's leaking.
So Nick, can we escalate it to the owners of the company? I mean, I'm thinking of the gentleman that sat in the room for the bid,
Jerry
right?
Bunting.
So they know about this?
He knows about it, Low Van Fam knows about it,
Okay, we just need to get the letter out.
Okay.
they know.
Well, we've got a door that leaks over too, you can move higher in there, and we're just trying to get the air out of it, or the moisture out of the air. We filled a half of a 5-gallon bucket full of water just from the moisture out of the air in this area, because you pull up that carpet, I mean, there was water standing there.
So our vulnerable equipment, we'll pay for, taking.
Well, the girls take in records if it's gonna rain over the weekend, after action is over.
This is a $24 million project. Judge, have you spoken with him?
No. Should you? It's not my job. But I will.
Well, and the actual warranty is out of date, but all the claims are prior to the warranty.
And you have documentation proving that? Okay.
I've got a book full of warranties. Now, anytime it rains, they go out, and it's kind of just this back and forth. Hey, it's leaking, okay, we'll go out.
And they go up there and take the hose up on the roof and just water it down. Soak it, trying to get the do it again.
You don't want to do it?
So, the rain, we got a good one this weekend, so.
It's time for
So the letter's the first step, and then Judge, you'll make a phone call? Okay.
I think the roofing contractor is gonna be surprised what they do with that.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve a notice of claim regarding issues with the roof at the Potter County Law Enforcement Complex Center.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. 5-0. Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Deputy. Number 11, interlocal agreement to consider and act upon a proposed interlocal agreement with the City of Amarillo for access to the LEC data center for hardware installation. Brandon.
Good morning.
Isn't this agreement already signed and done?
Again, interlocal, yeah. This is, the first interlocal that we have with them is for the use of the fiber that we have going on there.
Okay.
This is for use of 3 of our equipment racks out of the LSE.
Okay.
It'll amount to, I think, $250 a month per rack. And then that's gonna go into the account that we use for emergency things, budget stuff.
So what will they be accessing specifically on the rack? So the first interlocal was the fiber, so think of it like an actual real cable.
Yep.
Fiber in the ground, and when all that digging happened to the LEC, will you describe it's their cable, but it's along our pathway, is that right?
No, when we put that fiber in the ground, it's 96 strands of fiber, so they are using half of that.
Okay,
So they'll be able to utilize that how they need to, so that they have connection. So they're gonna use the room as a backup location, just like Bowling Green did as well. But yeah, so this is from the beginning, we planned to have 3 racks out there for them to use. And they're gonna put in whatever equipment, switches, whatever they need out there, so.
and there's not anything we have to do from a maintenance perspective, from a security perspective, from the network?
Security perspective, they will have cards to get into the building, I say 4 or 5, 6 of them, that will have access to it, they'll have access to our room, in the building, into our room, that kind of thing. They'll let us know that they
It's not us, is it?
have.
All right.
I make a motion that we approve the interlocal with the City of Amarillo for access to the Law Enforcement Complex Data Center for hardware installation.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. Thanks, Brandon. Number 12, deferred compensation to consider and act upon the addition of Northwestern Mutual Financial as the provider of financial services and products for participants in Potter County's Chapter 457B deferred compensation plan. Coffee.
This is a 20-year, this is kind of like one of the with Northwestern Financial. This is employee investing for retirement, it's no cost to the county, it's just an opportunity for employees if they choose to invest through this company. It offers financial planning, and asking if either of you is just to speak about what this company can do, but this would be a benefit to the employees and no cost to the county. Let me transfer my money out of where I'm at now, as you guys again, to Northwestern Financial.
Do we have to wait till open enrollment to do this, or can we do it right? I mean, not to do this, but I mean, to get signed up.
I think employees can sign up, and everybody answer that.
You just have to, add, the Commissioners Court has to approve the addition of a new provider.
Okay.
Who are our other providers?
We currently have GWN's Security Benefits, Nationwide, Valak, and Oppenheimer.
So is there a more formal process that is vetted by HR to look at requirements of who we add? I just don't know what the process should be, if it's just adding because we think we should add.
I'm not aware of, any more formal process. It's my understanding that it just has to be approved by Commissioners Court.
So how do we know, I'm not that you're not credible, right? But how do we know that we're dealing with apples to apples? Because from an employee's perspective, I would have a piece of paper and say, oh, let me see who I want to pick. And then I'd like to think somebody has kind of vetted that with some type of framework.
we don't recommend one over another, we just provide them with the information.
So if they're on our list, if they're on our list, there's an assumption that 5 members of this board have at least looked at, like, know something about the company. I don't have any backup, just the process
Let
itself.
him explain it,
Yes,
and he can kind of tell you what his position is, and it'll help.
Okay. Yes.
So what we're looking at, I'll get you that information, just to make sure what you were looking for. So we're a financial planning company, which is a little bit different from your traditional providers. Whereas Oppenheimer Investments only gives us an option. Same thing with Nationwide. That's only a little piece of the retirement asset. And there's typically not a fiduciary that's responsible for a one-on-one interaction with employees. So where we're different is we have that piece there, but we can use any one in the world we want as far as an investment option goes. So options are unlimited, not just with that particular fund company, as well as what the employees would get, as far as value proposition goes, is the whole financial planning process, which is normally if you go out to an independent, you may pay $5,000 for a plan. That is free to the employees, as well as, we have estate planning attorneys on staff for any type of wills, trusts, things along those lines. There's so much out there, but all the employees can have access to that on top of the option for the
How long have y'all been in business?
163 years.
Just getting started.
Just getting started.
Sorry. I always have to do that.
This is an opportunity for employees to no cost to county, they choose whoever they want, and basically invest however they want, it's for retirement. I'm right now with the company, I choose to move away from that, and I wanted to move from Northwestern Financial, and I wasn't allowed to because the county hadn't yet accepted this company, and so I could only move to three other places, and that's not where I want to put my money. It's my money, and I want to move it where I want to move it.
And I think that's good, it's an option for employees, I have no problem with that. My question would be to Kenny, what if we allow as an option, this company to be used as one that the employees agree on? Does that open up the door, for anyone, for any of want to come in? Or is there some, not to say, a governor, if you would, to look and see, or to limit the amount, or just not to,
To my knowledge, there is no limit to what the number that we could offer, outside of what our payroll processes would bear. You know, we certainly wouldn't want to open it up to 100 different providers. There would be no way we could keep up with that on payroll. But there wouldn't be a problem with adding an additional provider to what we have right now.
I think, the question is the lack of process, right? It sounds like we have currently. I think from a financial perspective, especially with people's retirement and, I'd like to think there was some type of levers or baselines that we assess a vendor, if you will, that says, hey, add me to this list. We're doing some type of internal homework that they're a financially healthy company. They've got employees with the right skill sets and the right credentials. And I'm sure you guys would check all those boxes. Those are not my comments, but that we at least have 5 to 10 baseline parameters to say, yep, they're equipped to at least pass along to our employees and they can decide. I think the lack of process is what concerns me most. Not that you wouldn't be credible and not that they're not good where your dollar should go. I think to your point, Commissioner Vaughn, it will open the door. I mean, if I owned a company on the other end, I'd be here in the next 2 weeks and say, add me to that list too.
That's all right.
But
It's free enterprise, they can do that.
right, but we're the governing body, right? And so we are, this people's retirement is.
And I think those are all good arguments. What I'm picking on is what Kay just mentioned, that she would not be that comfortable and allowing the best people to open up the door to just a barrage of companies coming in. If that happened, could you limit them, or would it just be to their discretion, a discretion for them to come in?
Anyone could come in and request the addition, but it would be the court's decision whether or not to allow the addition.
Each time.
reached.
So why
That's
don't
my
we, as a
understanding.
court, say the maximum number of companies we have on this is 6 or 7 or whatever it is, and just after that, we don't do any more.
If I'm an employee and I like a different company, I'd like to have the right to have that company.
Exactly.
Which is what happened here, yeah.
I mean, that's, you were talking about, you know, the vetting, I mean, that's part of the employee's gotta do their research on who it is. I don't really know that that's really your part to do it, you're not endorsing them.
Right.
The employee needs to do that, and I have one that's not on there either, and I'm having to do it to my own.
Yeah, I'm just calling out that we are the governing body, and I think that there is some fair due diligence, whatever that might be, to at least, you know, just not randomly add. Because we may have someone not credible, right? And we're not.
Like Tad might have something to say. Tad, you get something?
Again, it's up to the employee. It's
I
not.
mean, it's their money, you know, let them, I mean, they're gonna invest it.
That's great, that's good, but I think it's
It's up to
important,
them
the
to make sure
commission
that
is
they
saying
do
that,
not want.
are we somewhat of oversight protector of those employees that do not have the wherewithal as,
I don't think that's our job.
I don't think that's
that's just what this question is.
In 2013, it appears, looking back through records, that the county signed on to an agreement with a company called Security Benefits for that company to serve as the administrator of our deferred comp plan. And I think it's legally better to have a third-party administrator than the county administrator, because that brings with it potential liabilities. I say that we think we have a third-party benefit administrator because the copy of the contract that we found is signed by the county, but not by the company. So if the court approves this addition, or gives its consent to add Northwestern Mutual as a provider of financial services to the deferred comp plan, then I would send out a letter today to Security Benefits, who we think is the administrator of the plan, to confirm that they are in fact the administrator of our plan. Kindly send us a copy of the contract showing their signature as well as ours, and notify them that the court has approved Northwestern as a provider of financial services, and ask them to let us know what we need to do further to comply with their requirements as administrator of the plan, and to ensure that there are no adverse tax consequences to Catholic lineages moving from GWN to Northwestern.
And my only question back to that is, could we do that on the front end versus the back end, right? Because once we
We can
have,
do it. We
to
can-
be diligent about the decision, I guess is my question.
You can do that however you choose to do it. This is what I put together from Captain Paul.
And at least it's some type of vetting. I'd prefer
Well,
on the front end
if
unless
the
there's an
security
emergency.
benefit is the plan administrator, then they are the ones who decide whether they want to accept or agree to the court's request that Northwestern.
What you're saying, basically, we think that we already have it.
The gatekeeper, please. I think they are the gatekeeper, but we should know that we.
So if we confirm they are the gatekeeper, and if we pass along that we're looking at a new potential partnership, and they do their internal gatekeeping, scrub, if you will, of the organization, and give green light, at least there's some type of vetting that's taken place versus, you know, a small conversation and adding to a financial plan.
Well, let me ask something, let me clear this. When's the last time a gatekeeper called you asking anything?
I don't think they would call the
They
employee.
don't, no, you don't understand, they're not doing anything for us. That's why I'm so mad about all this.
Yeah,
The GWN guy lives in French, Texas and does nothing. He's got me, he's got problem that you're talking about. It's a problem that it appears we may already have. We're trying to solve that problem, not create a new problem. And that problem has come, I am not the least bit impressed with the communications that I've seen from the GWN representative.
so you're saying they need to be off the list?
In
if you're having
addition,
this much
he's
trouble?
charging me twice what I ought to be paying. And so you as the overseer of the commissioners court, you ought to be inflamed about that.
Yeah, this is all new information, right? So the lack of process is what I'm calling out.
Right.
Because luckily, you obviously have an avenue directly to the court. You put this on the agenda, like, think of all the employees that don't, right? And so the lack of process is what I'm calling out, because not only should we be looking at adding, if you're having this much trouble, we should be looking at removing, to be very honest.
Honestly, I think after this part's over with, I think that there ought to be some kind of, work towards getting a new administrator that's gonna go out and vet these people or whatever. This company happens to be associated with the company that can do that and would do that if they were so chosen. But I don't know if there needs to be an RFP or how that all works. All my interest is today is get my money away from GWN.
So my interest is the county, but I can appreciate your interest. Those are all very, I would not disagree with any of those comments at all.
I feel your pain, Captain. I understand where you're coming from, man. I empathize with you. At the same time, I have a problem with their directions. But can we also ensure that we think the administrator that's in place is doing what they're supposed to do and not, we need to challenge them or remove them or take someone else in.
That's my intent going forward. I can't believe what happens. That's my intent.
Is this an area that we could have them come in here and talk to the court about what they've been doing and what they haven't been doing? And I would recommend that we get a hold of them and bring them into our next meeting. And
They may be doing
hash
it,
this out.
I just don't know. I don't even know if they're planning.
Well, they're gonna certainly tell you when they get here, you're doing a great job. They're not gonna go, yeah, we, so, they're not gonna say that. So.
Well, I think the lack of process,
I am.
to your point, because if you are feeling this pain, if you will, think of many employees that just don't have access to the court directly, that may be dealing with something similar.
Well, I can tell you that another member of the court who's standing right here has money in there also, and he can't move his to where he wants to put it, because it's a nationwide, which not by y'all, but it's condoned by the court and agreed to. So now we're under this umbrella that we can only have these three people or three groups that we can invest with, and none of which am I interested in.
In 11 years, I've never been contacted by anybody from Nationwide, but yet my personal guy contacts me quarterly, if not monthly, on work.
Judge, someone needs to dig into some of this work. I know there's several in the audience that are kind of raising their hand, having a similar issue.
I believe that Mr. Coffey's already dug in.
No, but I meant to back into what contract do we have, what work are they doing, do we need to go to new bid?
I think that's what, you had something.
Yeah, he's gonna do
That's
that.
a process.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think,
So you're gonna do that.
But we can answer part of this problem by just adding Northwest Mutual.
Yes.
And I would move to do that we approve the addition of Northwest Mutual Financial to provide our financial services and products for participants in Clark County.
I would second that with the condition that we establish a formal process around this.
Now, let's see what we're
Well,
doing
more
here.
to the item. That's what I want to see, an unscientific code as far as the employees or having,
Like, who's dealing with this now?
representative issues as
Raise
far
it,
as.
you want their hands raised. Yep.
Good enough for me.
So I guess my second would be to establish a formal process, figure this out.
Well, we're doing that.
He's doing
We've
that.
already
Let's
done
go,
that.
let's go for one step at a time. Let's go with what Tad's gonna do, then we'll bring it back to what.
Okay?
So you,
So
I will
You're ready to second?
second that, just so that employees have an option in what appears the crisis mode at this point.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Everyone in favor, raise your hand. All right, five zero.
And then, Judge, I would earmark for later down our agenda, for our next agenda item, that we have an update on this process in 2 weeks for the next one.
Hopefully we'll have something back from.
And sorry you stepped into this lack of process, but thank you for your willingness.
John, with this approval, are you gonna be able to move your money now?
Well, hopefully, but I'm still not sure. I guess we gotta wait and see if this company is gonna be accepted by the current umbrella, the gatekeeper. But
I don't know if that was a motion.
The motion was to add it to the plan.
Exactly.
So, the motion is for, excuse me, the motion is for the court to approve additional full restoration on the bid. The plan administrator, that will need to be run by the plan administrator, and in fact, they are a plan administrator. So you gotta find that, are they our plan administrator? If they are, we approve this. If you don't approve this, then we may need to talk about who's gonna be our plan administrator.
And I think we probably need to talk about that anyway, but.
Okay, okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you very much. Thank you. All right, number 13. Justice of the Peace Precinct 2 to recognize Robert Taylor as having completed 80 hours in Texas Justice Court training in 2019. So recognized. Number 14, RFB 11, is that right, RFB? Okay. 1183-19 body transport and indigent cremation to consider and act upon awarding formal bid 1183-19 to Schaefer Mortuary as the lowest and best responsive bid door. Chris.
I went out for bid, actually just body transport came up, the contract was, expiring. We also added in the, indigent cremains because it went over the 50,000 mark. Had two vendors come back, A&D Mortuary and Schaefer Mortuary. I have the bid tabulation roll up in your guys' pack. It was very, close for the body transport, but when it came down to cremation, it's where Schaefer was, a little bit better in terms of price on this. So it was my recommendation, because they are the lowest and responsive bid, to give it to Schaefer. I did also check, references on on both of them. I talked to a majority of the justice of the peace, both in Randall and in Potter, because Randall does piggyback off of this as well. Some JPs were apprehensive to switch over just because AD has been a great partner with the county for years. But when it came down to prices, is my determining factor.
But again, going back to your conversation with the JP, so what was the consensus?
Both the Randall County JPs, they used A2D and Schaefer. They were both happy with both of them. I talked to JP1, and she was, she liked A2D, but she also used Schaefer in the past, and they did okay. Spoke to Judge Jackson. He is very familiar with A2D. Spoke to Judge Taylor. He's pretty new. Spoke to Judge Jones. He again was really like A2D.
So a couple of questions on the bid tabulation, if I may.
Yeah.
So on the cremation line item, so currently the vendor A&P is at $450 and then Schaefer came in at $255.
Correct.
It sounds a little like a morbid question, but is it the same level of service? Like, it's surprising to me that it's that big of a difference. On the surface, it feels like, how can they provide that service for that price point? Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
It doesn't feel like apples to apples. If it was in the 425 range, 400 range, I'd go with 255.
I can
Well,
kind of
yes,
help out
please,
answer
yes.
that. I'm with Schaefer Mortuary,
Okay,
and I'm Jake
perfect.
Schaefer, that's my wife right there, Candace. But, we have a crematory that is a little newer than the ones that have been in the past. It's a little cheaper to operate. It's mostly electronic. It's actually here in the city limits. We just got it put here a little over a year ago. We have a smaller staff than A2D does, but we still have enough staff to get everything done. My wife and I are both funeral directors. We both work there full time. We don't have like an intern service or anything like that, so we're able to be there more and operate more with us there, which keeps costs down.
So you're saying the newer equipment and the fewer staff is what allows you to keep your costs down and for you to deliver that price?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm sorry.
How long have you been in operation?
Schaefer Mortuary's been open for about 3.5, 4 years now. Our crematory's been going for a little over a year. I've been a licensed funeral director since 2010.
So you feel pretty confident.
Yes, sir, we did about 1,800 calls last year, and so, I'm pretty confident we'll be able to handle anything each county could use us more.
And then on the line item, and I'm not sure if this is Chris or you can answer this, the load mile charge. So A to D was 85 cents and Schaefer $1.50. When I think of mileage, I think of the geographic region in our county, and our JPs would know better, but I mean, I feel like there's a lot of mileage involved, right? So would we achieve the cost savings that you're thinking we're gonna get, Chris, with mileage? Like, I don't have an appreciation for how that's billed and how many miles.
We just charge one way.
One way, okay?
The biggest cost savings is
The cremation itself.
I mean, we spent last year over $53,000 in cremation. We did a lot. And that's what it came down to.
And this may sound like this really goes back about 8 years ago, but before you cremate, because usually people are calling the county because the lack of funds, right, is why they need the cremation services. You allow the family to see the body before it's cremated?
It is an option, so.
Do they have to pay for it?
No. So we actually legally can't even charge a family anything, because we're not a funeral home, we're just a mortuary service.
Okay.
So we can work for counties and cities and things like that, but we can't actually accept money.
But you have a viewing area where they could see the body before you cremate?
We do.
Okay.
I'm Candace Schaefer, his wife, so, one of the other reasons we're able to be more cost effective on the cremation is, like you said, we do have our crematory right here in the city limits, at the same place as our mortuary, so we're not having to travel to and from. We also purchased the house next door to the crematory and the property because we wanted to oversee that. We wanted to make sure that we can always keep an eye on what was going on at all times. To be meeting with these families, if you have to collect information, as well as the majority of the mortuary process, you should be a licensed funeral director in Baltimore, and we both are. So we don't have to employ others. That's why we can save the money.
Okay.
We go in and
And you have all the credentials and you're close by?
yes, I've been licensed for 16 years, so he's been licensed over 10, so.
Okay.
And I did manage a large funeral home here in town for 5 years, so I have a lot of experience with families and things like that. We were both born and raised in Amarillo High, so this is our community. And that's also why we chose to put the crematory right there in the city limits, because we wanted families to have the availability to see, where mom was cremated, as opposed to it being somewhere off where you didn't know where it was happening.
Judge Jackson, do you have any comments?
Sure, you're laughing.
I have to be kind of careful. Excuse me. Years ago, this issue has been coming up for years and years. Bounced back and forth between funeral homes, A&D, keys, all that. And there was a point in time when the funeral homes didn't want it. I mean, it was, A&D took it because nobody else wanted it. And they were gracious to us. And they have been up to this day. And you remember the phone calls that were brought to you on A&D, trying to get rid of it. And, the only other thing I'll say is their crematory is in town when 2 other companies requested crematories in town for some money. So, that's all I.
You're happy with?
I'm happy, I'm very happy with it.
Judge, my only other comment is we had a packet up here, I'm not sure who placed this, but it was a confidential packet with some patient information, which is why I think it's confidential. From A to D, it's the judge.
You said with what kind of information?
I'm sharing with Judge that we received a packet up here, asking for some time to delay this vote. And so I have not read this, it was just sitting here. But what I did highlight quickly is, it states, we respectfully request postponing your decision to award the bid until there's time to review these findings, whatever's in this.
I'm aware of it.
Okay.
I won't go into what the findings need to be.
Sure.
I have such a good working relationship with Joel and A to D. Our office is the one who does the cremation. We don't do them, we do the paperwork for them. And I've never had a problem with A to D ever. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't have a problem with Schaefer either, but I'm leaning towards A to D, but there's nothing that I can really do about it because the low bid. So by law, do we have to go with the low bid?
Well, I have to recommend it, so.
I mean, you can override it if you have just cause to. You don't have to.
You're the only judge they be in,
Unless there's, I mean, I think it's just, we don't often get something like this from a vendor saying, we need some time, we ask for you to delay for just 2 weeks, if you will. So I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, but it's very untraditional, asking for some time to research with what everybody is saying is a good company to work for. Is this something that has to be decided today, Judge?
I don't think so.
Allow them
We could postpone it for 2
2
weeks.
weeks?
That's,
I mean, I just,
Are we okay with that?
If you, yes.
yeah, just to, because I don't have context, I read, the job
I
description,
am
everybody
okay
else.
with that.
Yes,
okay. Why don't we do that then? Why don't we just put it, let's just put it aside for 2 weeks and come back? Did you want to say something, Joel, or did you need to say something, or is it okay if we put it off? Okay. Why don't we just hold on for 2 weeks and then bring this back? That gives us time to read this information. Okay. All right, number 15, equipment purchase, sheriff's office, to consider and act upon the purchase of an EXMW Laser E75 KAW lawnmower. Is there any more initials you put in there? EXMW bagger and attachment from Profits Lawn and Leisure in the amount of $10,949.98 minus trade-in of T23 Walker and snow blower, $7,600 for a total amount of $3,969.95. Funds to be transferred from grounds maintenance to capital equipment. You may read that again?
Yeah. No, the one that we have, that Walker that we were, advised to get is not big enough for the property that our last mowing. It's designed for the yard work that you see out here. He's mowing 9 acres, and so it's just too big, or not big enough. And, we're burning oil in it already, and they advised us if we continue, we'll burn that out. And so they advised us to get this bigger tractor. They're willing to take the trade-in value. The $4,000 or the $3,969 is what we have already in our grant budgets.
So they're gonna take that trade-in, that's massive.
so the funds are coming from your grounds maintenance line item, Sheriff, and then to capital equipment for the purchase.
We just need something bigger. I mean, he's mowing 3 days a week. It's, they told us it's just, he's working.
I make a motion that we approve the EXMW laser lawnmower as presented to the court.
Motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. 5-0, thank you. Employment items to consider and act upon the following employment items: maintenance and facilities, the transfer of Jason Phillips as lead technician 4, as a replacement for Lance Miller effective July 9. The transfer of Nicholas Hartman as maintenance technician 2, as a replacement for James Haskins effective July 9. And in the Road and Bridge Department, the hiring of Dennis Miller as summer mower as replacement for James Searles effective June 25, 2019.
We approve the employment items as presented.
Second, with one question.
Mhm.
Respect to road and bridge, we get a lot of those summer boards that are in and out, like every fourth we have, is it just difficult to keep those, and why do you think it's difficult to? I don't know, to always say,
It's a tough.
It's dirty work. Yeah, it's just hard, dirty work for 10 hours a day. This guy was a little inexperienced, and he had a close call with the vehicle, so he just shook him up and he quit.
A close call with
That's
the
the same.
vehicle.
Well, yeah, he kind of pulled close out there, and the vehicle sort of ran. And, but I mean, that's common. Last year, we had a guy hit a water meter and a gas meter and quit. It's too big. It's just tough to drive those tractors in those tight areas.
We go to a
training, that's it, prior to?
No, we get them out there and we run around the shop and try to teach them. We usually ask if they ran a standard vehicle before, because that'll help them a little bit, but it's just getting used to that. When you turn, that mowing neck whips out, so it hits a lot of things.
How much we invest?
It's $12 an hour now, it was 10. We're in Tyson.
You're entitled.
And Sebastian, I'm sure this happens, but they have on all safety equipment and all that so that people can see them down in these roads. Like, I mean, I know we were kind of joking about that scenario, but I don't, obviously wasn't something
The
that.
tractors have lights.
And they're wearing safety vests, whatever's
And we
appropriate.
have a follow vehicle, a road form, or a mowing foreman that follows them around, make sure they have water, emergency, whatever, gas.
And with lights flashing and.
Yeah. Signs up.
Thought I would ask.
Okay.
I just,
Okay, go ahead.
I just say that you ride around county roads and you mow, and that's great. Unlike I-40.
Yeah.
Some of these
Yeah,
around here, they're visible to a lot of people. It just looks like we're in a third world country. But out in the county, you guys are doing fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. Thanks, Sebastian. Number 17, Potter County projects. Nicholas, you have anything you want to talk about?
I don't really, other than James Haskins is still employed, sometimes that confuses people. He got promoted a couple months ago, and that's just kind of how it works, so.
Okay.
Sometimes that confuses.
Okay, that's fine. Jail report, we have 539 people in our jail today. 80 of those are females and are all in our jail, none of them's been farmed out. 80% are felons and 9% misdemeanor cases. Chris, you have the insurance items? No insurance, executive session, none. Agenda items for next time?
The third party, the third compensation, third party.
Okay, everybody, thank you so much. We are adjourned.